And we are live. Running commentary number 71. Over the 70 mark. It's pretty cool. I'm excited about that. It's Chaim Alevsky here with Chabad Family Programs of the West Side, New York City. Running with you in Central Park. Exercising the mind, the body, and the soul at the same time. What an opportunity. Running in nature, learning Torah, and enjoying God's world. Material, physical, and spiritual. Join me on this journey. So, today we're going to talk about sticks and snakes. That seems to be the theme. One of the great themes in this week's Torah portion. Where the first time, and also from before, the first time Moses meets God officially was this friend request bush, where God asks him, the first thing he says, Moshe, pretty much, says, Moshe, what's in your hand? He says, it's a stick. And he says, toss it to the ground. He tosses it, and it turns into a snake. Moshe is afraid of the snake. He runs from it. God says, grab it. And he grabs it. So that was the first miracle, first miraculous interaction that Moshe had with God. Then God tells Moshe to perform the same miracle the first time he meets Paro, which he does. Then, when it comes to the plagues, the first plague was the plague of blood, in which God tells Moshe, take the stick, which you turned into a snake, or which turned into a snake, and hit the waters and turn it to blood. So we see that special about the sticks and the snakes. And so today, I will present to you in a very short, condensed summary of what I learned from the sources are the Alshich, a biblical commentator from the 16th century, and the Alter Rebbe, the founder of the Chabad movement. But it was presented by our illustrious, current, amazing teacher, Rabbi Yessi Jacobson, who has this incredible website, theyeshiva.net. So I'm going to condense what he said in about an hour into about 5 minutes. But I urge you to listen to his class, to read it, watch it, and the link is in the description here. Because I'm just giving you the tip of the iceberg. So the biblical commentator, the Alshich, says as follows, but it was prefaced by an idea that we need to know. That the Torah, later on in other places, it refers to Paro, the king, as a serpent, as the great serpent, who lies or crouches in the rivers. And it's the representation of evil. And the Alshich says that these three stages of first the stick, then the snake, back into a stick again, represents Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, in three different time frames, all related to where was Moshe at the time. So the first is the stick. There's a stick in his hand, and that represents the time Paro is compared to a stick, which is not a dangerous thing if it's used correctly. It's strong, it's hard, it's straight, it can be used, you can walk with it, it can be relied on. That's a stick. And it's considered a good thing in this conversation. So when Moshe was in Paro's palace, Paro was like a stick to Moshe. He provided for him. He was an aid. When Moshe left Paro's palace, Paro turned into the serpent, the snake, the evil killer, the poisonous, venomous. And then, when Moshe comes back and he confronts Paro, and after he overcomes his fear, God said he'll be with him, and it confronts his fear, it confronts the evil, the darkness, that snake turns back into a stick. So these are 3 times of chronologically what happened with Moshe and Pharaoh. And Pharaoh is referred to as a stick, then a snake, and then a stick again. And it's related to Moshe's relationship. So when God says to Moshe, don't be afraid of the snake, don't be afraid of it, grab onto it, face your fears. And Moshe does, turns back into a stick again, revealing its true essence, that it's all good. And the Alshich takes this further and says, according to Rabbi Jacobson, because I didn't see the source, this is a lesson for us humans, the psychological, emotional level, that when we have fears that seem looming large and inconceivable to us, that we can overcome them. What we need to do is face them head on, and as he says, ghosts, demons and skeletons, like the darkness, like the closets. So open up the door, shine the light, and poof, they disappear. So too with all of our struggles and our obstacles. We just confront them, face them head on, they'll disappear. That is the Alshich. Now we're going to move on to the Chassidus, the Alter Rebbe, whose birthday was yesterday, 2 days ago. The Alter Rebbe, the founder of the Chabad movement. He says very deep, beautiful idea that resonates throughout life and throughout history and will till the end of times. And he says as follows: the stick and the snake. The stick is something straight, the snake is curved. The stick represents God's flow of the creation of energy through which he creates the world. From God to us. Straight, narrow, represents holiness. The stick is straight and represents holiness. The snake is curved, starts one place, ends up somewhere else. It's not straight, nothing straight about it. He says, Rabbi Jacobson says, it's a serpentine gait. It's something between a wave and a dance. It's beautiful, but deadly. So the serpent represents the opposite of the straightness of the stick, of God's flow. Now, how does that happen? So we're talking about here now how God and the world correlate to each other, and this is a paradigm that we need to have to understand the dynamics between ourselves and God. And that is as follows: everything comes from God. God created and creates and sustains and maintains, designs and forms everything. It's all a stick. You know, sometimes when it comes into this world, it's not noticeable. And it looks like a snake. It looks like a snake, like Pharaoh himself, who's considered the big snake, the big serpent. He claimed, one of his famous claims was, he says, the Nile, the river, is mine, and I made myself. He claimed that he is a god that created himself. So how does it, whoa, that was a big caterpillar or something of that sort, really big. So how does it come from the godly flow, straight godly flow, pure holiness and godliness, into being a serpent that doesn't recognize its source? So for that, in the Chassidus, it's explained that there are many levels of concealment that the godly flow passes through. Many levels, many evolutions, kosher evolution, levels of concealment and filters that filter the light of God and block us from seeing it. And that's why when there's so many filters, we can create a pharaoh, a snake, something that feels it has this independent life source and doesn't recognize its true life source. And the goal of all the plagues and this interaction that Moshe and Aaron had with Pharaoh and the Egyptians was to break through that and to reveal the truth that the origins of the snake is a stick, that the true life force of everything in this world is God and godliness. And that happens through a miracle. When things are going naturally and everything's running its natural course, the course of nature, it's not noticeable necessarily that God runs the world. But the concept of a miracle is a revelation of godliness that pierces through the fields of nature. And then when that happens, thank you. When that happens, suddenly even the snakes and the serpents and the pharaohs of the world and the pharaoh within ourselves also can't deny. They become completely nullified in the presence of holiness. And we can't deny the oneness of God and the vitality that comes from God, the life force that comes from God to this world. And that's what a miracle is. And that was the purpose of all of these miracles. Anyway, that's the Alter Rebbe's take on the sticks and the snakes. And so we realize that everything in this world is God and it's godliness. And we don't see it because of the filters. But we know it's all a stick. There's no snakes here. And a beautiful part over here was that when was it revealed? In relationship, a personal note over here that I'm adding to this based on the above. The snake's true origins was revealed when Moshe was holding it. So when you're connected to the Moshe Rabbeinu of whatever generation you're in, and for us it's the Rebbe, when you're connected to a Rebbe, the Rebbe's teachings, you can reveal in your own life that even the snakes, even that which seems to obstruct God's light and God's flow, is really a stick. It's really straightforward holiness. Stay connected. God bless you.